This one is for this weekend's UFC main event, Alexander Volkov taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Quick tale of the tape to start with. So Volkov is coming in with an impressive record of 34-10. Jairzinho, on the other hand, 12-3, so considerably less experience in mixed martial arts for Rozenstruik. But then when you add his kickboxing record of 76-8 to that, 76-8-1, I mean 85 kickboxing matches, 76 wins, 64 knockouts. I mean that's a terrifying stat. This guy is taking people's heads left and right. Same with his mixed martial arts record. You know, out of 12 wins, he's got 11 knockouts. He really is a dangerous individual in the striking range. As is Volkov. The difference is their striking range. They are different ranges. You know, Volkov, you know, he's 6'7", so he's got a 5-inch height advantage. He's got a 2-inch reach advantage, which of course, you know, it doesn't really amount to much. But he is very good at fighting long. Even when he fought Stefan Struve at 6'11", he was still able to look like the taller fighter, to pick at him and stay safe, even with a guy that's got a really, really long 84.5-inch reach, I think Struve is. So, you know, you've got to think that Volkov is going to be the bigger and the more difficult fighter to land shots on. Rozenstruik is a very patient fighter, though. And of course, this is over 5 rounds, which means that Rozenstruik, as soon as the first bell goes until right before the last bell goes, as we found out in the Overeem fight, he's lethal. And he only needs one counter shot to catch you and put you out. Rozenstruik has got a lower striking output than Volkov. Patience. But he is accurate. You know, he does land shots, but then Volkov's more accurate. But that's because he kind of picks at his opponents. He doesn't really throw everything into them. Whereas Rozenstruik, he tests. Sometimes he does throw a big shot and it doesn't land. Sometimes he'll throw a couple of shots to line up his big shot, which again, because those a couple of initial shots were a setup, they count negatively towards his striking accuracy, but positively towards his finishing capabilities. Volkov needs to land a lot more to do the same kind of damage that Rozenstruik does. And Volkov could do with doing a variety of damage across the body, working the legs, working the body, you know, obviously attacking the head. Whereas Rozenstruik, I think he could have a far more straightforward game plan of smash the hell out of that lead leg and then throw bombs over the top and around the sides. He has to close range down, but not get too close where he's going to get clinched. Because again, I do see Volkov being able to work inside and outside reaps and trips, get those long arms around a body lock and pull his hips in and start to trip him. That could be a real interesting range, and it'd be interesting to see how Rozenstruik does deal with that. But as I said, you know, his takedown defense has been impressive so far, and Volkov is not the most aggressive of grapplers. Now, Volkov is a very good mixed martial artist. You know, he's a decorated champion. You know, he fought around the world. He's fought in M1. He's fought in Bellator. Of course, the UFC championship is the one that he wants now to add to his collection. But he's hit a couple of individuals recently. Cyril Gann being one of them, and Tom Aspinall being the other. And they've just been a bit too fleet of foot for him, a bit too quick. A bit too in and out, changing the range, and also, you know, having a good, well-rounded game in Tom Aspinall. I don't think there's the same kind of possibility with Rozenstruik. I think Volkov knows that this is going to be a kickboxing match for as long as he wants it to be. Now, I'm not putting it past Volkov to try and take this fight to the floor, but what I will say as a counter to that is that Rozenstruik's takedown defense is 75%. Although he lost to Curtis Blades, he stopped half of his takedowns, which in my opinion is very impressive. He is a difficult person to take down. Very, very solid on his feet, very difficult to budge. Very good at fighting for underhooks and getting good head position. And of course, the head position battle is going to be easier to win for him because he's the shorter man. But at the same time, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Volkov decides to play it safe, closes him down against the fence pretty quickly, you know, lands a couple of clinch knees and then looks for some trip and reap takedowns. If it hits the floor, that's where Volkov is going to look very strong, just because of his experience and his size. You know, we don't really talk too much about his ground game, but it's not that it's not there. He just chooses not to use it. Rozenstruik, of course, you know, has a game that is heavily stacked in kickboxing. Although he does have grappling in his background. It's an interesting one for the heavyweight division as well, because, you know, one of these guys will continue moving back towards the belt. I feel like Rozenstruik is just kind of starting in his career. I mean, he's had 15 fights. Volkov's had 44 fights. He's a lot further along in his career. So that Volkov is going to improve in mixed martial arts terms incrementally in the next, I don't know how long is he going to stay fighting for. I mean, they're around the same age. They're about 6 months in it. But of course, Biggie Boy spent a lot of time kickboxing, which you have to be tweaking and changing that in order to cross over to mixed martial arts. With him having that power and that skill, he's got decent takedown offense. And with 15 fights in, he's going to continue to improve. So that we don't know if he's going to bring new skills to the table in this. Whereas with Volkov, I kind of feel like the version that we know is the version that we're going to get. And he's either going to outpoint him and wear him down and maybe get a TKO, but most likely beat him by decision, or he's going to be doing really well until he gets cracked with a big shot and he finds himself waking up with the referee over him. I'm looking forward to it. I love a good clash of heavyweights. I like the fact that there's one guy that's tall and rangy and doesn't have the same kind of power as the guy that's a bit shorter and a bit more powerful. And the guy with loads of kickboxing striking experience is the one that is working against the physical attributes. If you take the physical attributes of Volkov and you give them to Rozenstruik with his kickboxing experience, that's an easy one for me. Because he's got everything on his side. The fact that Volkov's got the MMA experience and the height and reach, that's what makes it challenging for Biggie Boy. And I think both of these guys are going to want to kickbox, which makes it even more interesting. All right, enjoy these fights, and I'll see you next time.